Es la palabra, papá.
Give you the floor.
Pues buenos días. Voy a intentar ser breve porque
Hello, good morning. I'll try and be brief because in reality a very similar system was already presented, so I'll be able to skip some of the slides and it's getting late. My name is Pablo Revuelta. I come from the Carlos III University, where I've been developing with Belén Ruiz Mezcua and José Sánchez Pena technical aid for the autonomy in displacement whilst moving, which is an ongoing project. So I will be presenting the objective, a state of the art, and the interviews that we have done to try and define some of the parameters, presenting the project as such, and then conclusions. So the two purposes is to ensure mobility in unknown environments for people who are visually impaired, to alert of the presence of potentially dangerous obstacles which cannot be perceived by a dog, like the ones that are near the person's head. State of the art is such that there's so many projects on orientation and mobility. We will be using sonic path finders. There's a quite long list, as you can see. Some of them are older, of the 70s, and others are still in development. And we have seen different strategies on how the information eventually becomes sounds. We can catalog them as a psychoacoustic system, how the cranium receives the sounds, how the cache being developed in Valencia, also in Canarias and other international projects, or those that use an arbitrary codification of the sounds. Some of them even turn the received information into verbal information. As far as the strategy, the first advantage is that the positioning is conducted naturally, and for this you don't need any training. The disadvantage is the mistake, especially in height, is about 10%, which at 1 meter distance can entail sort of kicking your head or not, and also in azimuth, and 6% in azimuth, where the second strategy is arbitrary codification. The advantage is a much better adjusted positioning of the sources with more flexibility to transmit information, textures, colors, shapes, or the environment. Disadvantages would be that you need training because the code is arbitrary. There's also mixed solutions, like some of them, where some parameters are codified psychoacoustically, others arbitrarily, in order to increase the advantages and decrease the disadvantages of any of these two systems. In any case, all the systems are more or less complicated. Some of them are very expensive, and they block the auditive channel. An example is Sveta, where you wear a helmet, something relatively complicated. Through interviews with 11 people, experts in psychology, acoustic engineering, music, technical support, out of which 6 were blind and 5 did not have any degree of visual disability. What were the results of these interviews? They have told us that the systems need to be straightforward, light, portable, and discrete. They need to be able to adapt themselves to different cognitive profiles with minimum training. And on the other hand, as far as the channels and the information, they need to respect the hearing, open possibility of using the bone transmission, the advantages of adding vibrational elements like signals, and for the blind and the deaf, or in a noisy environment, transmitting not only relevant information, the capacity of recognizing objects. As far as sonification, there's been many suggestions, many of them contradictory. In any case, frequency and sound are considered contain lots of information, and patterns culturally accepted because they are so familiar. general suggestions. Sounds, strident sounds should be used for imminent danger. You need to use less than 17 sounds for vision and less than 6 for mobility. That would be more complicated. And using samples of real sounds instead of synthetic sounds. The ATAD project has a structure very similar to what was presented before: capture and processing of images, conversion to sound, and transmission of sounds. As far as the first block, image capture and processing, we use cheap micro cameras, low qualities, because relevant information is not detailed. Processing needs to work in real time, that is using more than 25 photograms per second. And what we do is take 2 images, slightly out of phase, and obtaining an image of 2.5D, because each pixel, according to the intensity, represents the information of depth, so that the lamp is on top of the bust, etc. And this part, which is also implemented, works at some 150 frames per second in a regular PC, and we consider that for now it is being a rather light conversion. The second block is a sonification, converting the image of 2.5D into sounds in real time, and from that image you obtain a stereo sound. We will see how for the representation. In the third block, the transmission needs to respect the auditive channel. It needs to allow for a certain variety of acoustic nuances, and the transmission is being the bone transmission systems who do not interfere in the auditive channel or hiding the ear manages to use the bones and the sound. Block 1 has now come to an end. Block 2 is this final decision on certification, software implementation, and tests with users and software is still pending. We still also have pending the choice of the final hardware, the estimation of bandwidth. Other pending tasks are integration of the hardware, the training of design of the training, tests with users of the whole system, and a complete evaluation of the project conclusions. There is a demand of technical assistance that are flexible to help in people with visual capacity in their daily lives, and we have identified the main problems of visual aids. Also, the contribution of users is of the essence for a useful and functional design. The part implemented so far allows us to reduce costs significantly, and of course there's technical problems still to be solved. Thank you very much, and we keep on working. Well, Paolo, I think that there's quite a few questions for you, so that if any of you have any questions, now it's time. I do have a few of them. What difference is there vis-à-vis the project presented to us by Guillermo? Because I understand that we are using a stereoscopic system. You compare the two images, and then you translate all this into sounds. Well, this is what I wanted to discuss with him, but unfortunately he had to go out. I don't know how they have implemented this stereo vision. I think this is one of the key points to any system similar to this, because of the computational load, and it depends on the final price and the final speed of the system. In Valencia, they have decided to use the psychoacoustic implants, which we believe has a number of drawbacks which need to be taken into account, even if we want to solve it, even if it's necessary to train people. Also, using headsets is something that all the people that we interviewed, blind and non-blind, is something that we should try and avoid, because for people who are visually impaired. It is their main source of information. It is where they see where the car comes from. So we need to enrich this information and not replace it, so that for now we are going to use the bone transmission to try and combine respecting the natural echolocation of the people. Do you have any prototypes so far? No. We only have the software of the image processor. This year we are starting to work on certification. We're trying to do a totally software prototype first to validate it with the users and then implement it on microchip and whatever portable device we can find. Thank you very much. And now we are going to close this workshop and we can leave for lunch. Thank you very much for attending.